Hello, this is Mr. Frank, and welcome to Learning Target, Subtracting Fractions and Mixed Numbers. We are on day 1. Hey, and I know when I think about fractions, I think about pizza. And when I think about pizza, I think about New York, because I grew up in New York, and you know what? Pizza's about New York. So I want to talk to you about pizza a little bit. This is how I used to talk when I grew up in New York. So we're going to get a little lesson about New York and pizza. So this is a pizza. If you go to New York and you want a piece of pizza, you don't walk into a pizza place and say, I want a piece of pizza. You say, I want a slice. This thing right here, it's known as a slice. And the whole thing, if you want the whole pizza, you say, I want a pie. I'm not talking about an apple pie. I'm talking about a pizza pie. And the place you go into, it's not a pizza restaurant. It's a pizza parlor. So you go into a pizza parlor, you ask for a pie or you ask for a slice. And if you want to be authentic with your pizza eating in New York, you got to look like this. All right? You got to do the fold of the pizza. None of this fork and knife stuff. You got to do the fold. And if you want to look totally authentic, maybe put a hat. That could look pretty good. That guy's total New York. All right? Now, I'm going to go back to my Minnesota normal voice because I lost my accent. I used to talk like that, believe it or not. But now I'll go back to my normal voice and we will talk about fractions. So here we got some pizza to help us think about fractions. And think about this as we have 8 slices. 8 slices. There are 8 possible slices. So the number of possible slices makes up the denominator. The number of actual slices in the whole makes up the numerator. So the whole thing here has 8 slices, 8 possible slices, but they're actually 7. So this is 7/8 of a pizza. And you can just go look at all the different fractions, right? This one, there's 1 slice out of 8, so that would be 1/8. Quick review. Some people like the visual. I like to think about pizza when I think about fractions because it's easy to visualize, and you might too. So you can use that. So now let's talk about subtracting fractions with common denominators. So to subtract 2 fractions with a common denominator, write the difference of the numerators and keep the denominator the same. So here's an example. We got 4/8 minus 1/8. So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract the numerators. There are the numerators. I just flashed them right there. See that? So subtract 4 minus 1. That is 3. And now we're going to keep the denominator the same. That's 8. That's it. We just subtracted fractions. Right? And this is what it looks like as a pizza. We had 4 slices out of a potential 8. We subtracted 1 or maybe ate one of them, right? Now there's 3 left. So we have 3/8 left. That's what it looks like. So if you like to think about it with pizza, go ahead and do that. Now let's get some practice. So remember to simplify your answers. And we'll go over what that means. Just try it on your own. You should know how to do that. So answer these questions and then come on back. All right, let's see how you did. So 5 minus 2. Right, you have 5 minus 2 is 3. And we would keep the denominator the same. So our answer would be 3/7. Over here, 11 minus 4. That would be 7. And we keep the denominator the same. And that would be 14. Now, remember I said simplify all your answers. This can be simplified. I can take a 7 out of this and a 7 out of this to simplify it. So I'm going to do that. And your final answer should be 1/2. And what I did here is 7 divided by 7 is 1, and 14 divided by 7 is 2. So I get 1/2. All right, now let's try doing this with mixed numbers. All right, take it up a notch. So what we have to do is we have to write our mixed number as improper fractions. Then we're going to subtract the numerators. The denominator stays the same. And then at the end, we might need to change it back to a mixed number depending on the answer. So let's check this one out. I have 6 7/9 minus 4 1/9. All right, so we need to write them as improper fractions. So the way to do that is we take the denominator and we multiply it by the whole number, and then we add the numerator. And the reason we do that is this 6 really means, think about it as there's 6 pizzas. Each of them has 9 slices. So we're multiplying 6 times 9 because we are going to figure out how many total slices there are in these 6 pies. And then we're going to add these 7 slices. So we get 6 times 9, that's 54, plus 7, that's 61. So we get 61/9. And here it was 9 times 4, that's 36 plus 1, 37 ninths. Now I could do what we did before. I'm going to subtract the numerators. I've got 61 minus 37. So 61 minus 37. 61 good guys, 37 bad guys. You could do that. You could do temperature. You could do number line method. We get 24 ninths. You can also change this to add the opposite if you want to do that. So you can add the opposite. We get 24 ninths. 24 ninths. Now, that is an improper fraction, so we want to change that to a mixed number. So we say, how many times does 9 go into 24? Well, 9 goes into 24 2 times. That would be 18. And then there would be 6 more left over, so we get 2 and 6 ninths. But hey, don't forget to simplify. We can simplify that 6 ninths. We can take a 3 out of both the numerator and the denominator. So we can divide both by 3. So we would end up with 2 and 2/3. All right, let's get some practice. So this one looks a little bit different, right? This 7 isn't a fraction, but we can make it into a fraction. You can always make a whole number into a fraction. You can write it 7 over 1, but we also want to make the denominator 8, right? We want to get common denominators. So what we can do is we can rename the first number as a fraction with the same denominator. So what we can do is say if there's 7 pies, 7 pizzas, full pizzas, with 8 slices each, there would be 56 slices. And I'm doing that by saying 7 times 8 is 56. And I put it over 8. So that's how I can change a whole number into a fraction. Multiply both the numerator, and there's a denominator here of 1. We can multiply both of them by 8. And we get 56 over 8 minus 45 over 8. I got 45 over 8 by multiplying my denominator by my whole number and adding the numerator. So now what we're going to do is we will subtract. So I do 56 minus 45, and we'll get 11 over 8. Now we can make that into a mixed number. That's an improper fraction. So how many times does 8 go into 11? It's 1, and then there's 3/8 left. So I want you guys to practice here. So you'll do these in Edpuzzle and come on back. Let's see how you did. All right, so we've got mixed numbers. We need to change them to improper fractions. You should have done that. We've gotten 61 over 7 minus 29 over 7. You then subtract to get 32 over 7 and make it a mixed number, 4 and 4/7. On this next one, you need to change the whole number to an improper fraction, 64 over 8 minus 41 over 8, and we subtract to get 23 over 8. I hope you did well there. If you need a refresher, go back and watch the last few slides to make sure you know how to do this. This is important stuff. You're going to need it for tomorrow's lesson. So finally, I should say we make this improper fraction into a mixed number and get 2 and 7/8. Let's do this with negative numbers. So everything you've done, what you've learned with integers and subtracting and adding with negative numbers, you're going to do here. So don't worry that this is a negative. You're still going to make this into a fraction. It'll be a negative fraction, and then you'll subtract some you'll make this into an improper fraction, and then if you want, you can add the opposite and continue on. So pause here. I want you to do this on your own, and then we'll go over it. All right, welcome back. So let's see how you did. You should have changed this into an improper fraction, 9 times 2 plus 1. It's 19, but I'm going to keep this negative sign, and I'm going to put it right here. Right? And I keep my denominators at 9. I've made this into an improper fraction. And now notice what I've done here. I've changed this to add the opposite. Right? I've added the opposite. That's why I have a plus here and a minus here. So now I have a negative 19 plus a negative 28. So we're adding two negatives. It's 19 degrees below 0, and it's getting colder. We know that's going to be a negative number. You end up with negative 47 over 9. And we're going to change this into an improper fraction. And that would be our answer. On your own, I want you to do these three and bring them back to class. And then come on back. All right, and last but not least, please capture what you learned or were reminded of and questions that you have. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you in school.